Okay, continuing on with our brief survey of the books of the Bible, uh, kind of a outline of each of the books, chapter by chapter. We come to the book of Joshua. The Israelites have finished their 40 years of wandering in the desert and are ready to take the promised land. Moses has died, and in chapter 1, God makes Joshua the commander. He is now in control. And Joshua in chapter 1 also assumes command. And the first thing he does in chapter 2 is he sends some spies in to the city of Jericho. The city of Jericho is the first city that they are going to conquer. And Jericho's kind of in the middle of the promised land. And so he does send the spies in. The authorities there in Jericho find out that they're there, and so one of the prostitutes there in Jericho, a woman named Rahab, she hides the spies and helps them escape. In chapter 3, we see that Israel crosses the Jordan, and then in chapter 4, God tells them to make a memorial. He tells them to take each of the 12 tribes, you get 12 guys, take up 12 stones from the river of Jordan and build little memorials to commemorate the crossing of the Jordan, because God had stopped up the Jordan just like he did the Red Sea, and so the Ark of Covenant could get across, and them could get across safely. In chapter 5, God tells them to make sure that all the men in Israel are circumcised. And in chapter 6, we see that the conquest of Jericho is completed. In chapter 7, the second city that the Israelites are going to attack and try to conquer is the city of Ai, but they are defeated. The reason that being is that God told the Israelites that when they took the city of Jericho not to take any plunder, but one of the guys did, a guy named Achan. And of course it made God mad, and they lost the next battle. And so the Israelites ferret out Achan, and they end up killing Achan and his family. And then in chapter 8, they attack the city of Ai again, and they are successful. In chapter 9, we see the story of the guile of the Gibeonites. Now, that's a very good story. Chapter 10 is the 5 kings attack Gibeon, which is kind of a continuation. Now they have conquered, by this time, the southern part of Canaan, southern part of Palestine, and now in chapter 11 there talks about how they take and conquer the northern half of Palestine. And in chapter 12 is a list of the kings of the cities that Israel has conquered. They have now taken the land. In chapter 13, we see how the conquered land of Canaan is being divided up between the tribes of Israel. Chapter 14 talks about Caleb's request. Caleb was one of the spies that went in to the promised land back in the Exodus and came back, and he was one along with Joshua that said, yeah, we can take this, but the rest of them didn't. They ended up walking around the desert for 40 years because they made God mad for not going in there. 14 talks about the territory of Judah, and 16 starts speaking of the territory of Ephraim. In chapter 17, we see the territory of Manasseh. And 18 talks about how the rest of the land was divided up. We see the territory of Benjamin. 19, we see the territory of Simeon, the territory of Zebulun, and the territory of Issachar, and the territory of Asher, territory of Naphtali, and the territory of Dan. In 20, it talks about the 6 cities of refuge. 21, we have the 48 cities of the Levites. The tribe of Levi did not get a portion of land, but they did get cities. And they were all spread out through the land, and so that they could minister to the people. Chapter 22 talks about the tribes that decided that they wanted some land on the east side of the Jordan, the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh. 23, Joshua knows that his time's about up, and so he gives his farewell address. And in chapter 24, Joshua reviews the history of Israel, and this is where he tells them that we will serve the Lord. And he, chapter 24 is where Joshua dies and is buried. Okay, the next book we'll take a look at is the book of Judges.